Welcome back. In this task, we will use an alternate approach to create a web app. In the first task, when we created a web app, we created a file called app.r, and we could have created that file using any editor. We did not really need RStudio Cloud or the RStudio IDE that you may have installed on your laptop. That approach is useful if you don't have immediate access to RStudio Cloud or RStudio IDE on your laptop, but you want to still write up a Shiny app. You can use any file editor. However, if you have access to RStudio Cloud, there's an alternate way to create the app, and I'll show that to you. And before I do that, let me show you this Files tab because this will come in play. Now, RStudio Cloud is running on a Ubuntu Linux machine. On a Ubuntu Linux machine, we have what's called a root folder. That folder corresponds to the C drive on a Windows laptop. Now, in that root folder on the Linux machine, there's a folder called Cloud, and within the Cloud folder, there's another folder called Project. And RStudio Cloud creates our project in the folder called Project within the Cloud folder in the root folder. And that's where it stores the .r history and project.rproj file. And when we had created our app.r file, it also got created and saved in the project folder. And you can see the path from root to cloud to project, just like you would see a path on a Windows machine. Now let's see how to create a web app using the menu. And we'll go to our workspace, create a new project, and I'll call it sample web app with menu. And as before, you will notice we have this cloud folder and the project folder, and within the project folder we have these two files. Now to create a web app, let's go to the file menu, select new file, and instead of selecting R script, we'll select Shiny web app. And the moment we do it, Shiny will try to create the app structure for us. It'll try and look up the packages we need, in this case, the Shiny package, and it'll display messages as it goes along. So let's select and see what happens. And here, checking for install packages to see if Shiny is installed, already available on the Linux machine. And it gives us this box saying, creating Shiny applications requires installation of an updated version of the Shiny package. So there is a package available, but we need an updated one. And if it is asking us if we want to install it now, and we'll say yes. And like before, it'll take a little while, so we'll give it some time, and the messages will appear in the console as it proceeds. So it's begun installation. It's quite a lot of packages it's installing. And when it's done, it'll give us this dialog box, and it is prompting us to specify an application name, and I'll call it sample web app. Next, it is asking us the application type, whether we want a single file or multiple files. Now it's possible for us to create an app with two files, UI.R and server.R. And if we create an app with multiple files, UI.R and server.R, we would specify the UI portion in UI.R and the server function in server.R. In our case, our application is small, so we will go with a single file like before. And then it is also asking us where we want to create our project, our app. And by default, it is selecting the /cloud/project directory. The slash represents the root, which is equivalent to the C drive, and then the cloud folder, and then the project folder. And we're telling it to create it here. And we'll click on the create button, and it'll go to work. And notice what it did. In the project folder, it created another folder. The name of the folder is the name of the application that we specified. And if I click on it, it contains the app.r file. So this time around, the app.r file is in the sample web app folder and not the project folder, but it really doesn't matter. Now, RStudio Cloud has already opened the app.r file. Now, if you walk down this file, and let me just create some space here. You will notice there's this library call, then there's this UI definition, and a rather busy definition. And then down below, we have the server definition, and then we have the Shiny app. And the Shiny app is using named arguments. We don't have to, we can just specify UI comma server, but we can even specify the named arguments. It works as you've seen before. Now this is a functioning app and we can actually use it directly. So let's do that. Let's run external. Let me click on run app. And it brings up this app, which has a slider and then a histogram. And if I move the slider, the histogram changes. So, but we won't be using this. So let me close this. What you're getting here is a template of sorts, and we can modify this template to suit us. So let me do that. So let me get rid of this. And then I'll get rid of this part as well. And here I'll clean this up because we'll specify our own UI. And here I'll say plot output like before. Now I'll say and then in the server function, again, we have this render plot. And I'll change this to my plot. And here I'll get rid of this instructions. And notice we just left with the render plot, open parenthesis, open curly brace. And here we'll specify the plot function. And we have replicated what we've done before. Now let me save this. The Shiny package has already been installed. And now let's run this. Now instead of running it in the browser, let's run it in the viewer pane. So let me click on this. And this is the viewer pane. So let me click on Run App, and you'll see we got exactly the same plot as before. It's sometimes convenient to run the app in the viewer pane rather than in a browser. Let me stop this. Now, there's one more option to run it in a window. That's a perfectly valid option. What happens is when you run it in RStudio Cloud, it kind of takes over the whole window. So let me show you. If I click on this, it brings up this app, and suddenly you're lost access to the rest of the RStudio Cloud uh, window. So to get back your RStudio Cloud window, click here, open in browser, and you'll get the output, the plot in the browser window, and you get your RStudio Cloud. So be careful in case you run the app using the window option. This is how you get back to your RStudio Cloud windows. We are now ready to start building our own app, starting from the next task onwards. We will build the app in steps, and at each step, you'll be able to relate the new functionality to the new instructions we add to the app. I will give you the code so that you can follow along, and the code will have been created like the Shiny app we created in this task. So I'll see you in a short while.